Recorded October 2021. Where have my co-hosts gone? Where can they be? Seems like it's just me this time, guys. I knew that people could only bear me for so long. Welcome to the Microsoft Security Insights podcast show. I am Mr. Walton, your host. Brody will be late. He's out doing the Brody thing. Ray is having technical difficulties, but look at here. We have a Brody sighting. Brody's here.
Hey, bud.
Yeah, Ray is trying to fix her acoustics, and Rod is out speaking at yet another event function. Brody, hey man, this is a same date but different time because we have another guest that happens to be on a very much different time zone. We'll get them on shortly, but Brody, how you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm doing good. Winter's here, man. It just started to snow. First snow of the year. So
snow.
Yeah, just coming down right now. You got it. It's gonna melt, but it'll be snow on the ground today. Yeah. So and my long sleeve shirts now. You know.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. It definitely not snowing here in Georgia. 80 something maybe. Can't really tell by everything. But you have a good weekend?
Yeah, the weekend was great. My hockey team's undefeated, only undefeated team in the league. Go Jets, go! What else? Did a bunch of yard work in preparation for the snow. Had to get a bunch of stuff done. Pardon me. What else? It was a good time. It was a good time this weekend, and then this week's work's busy. I'm working on defining a security framework with a company in the US, and we are talking about secure network boundaries and security policy via Azure policy via enterprise policy as code for another customer. And third customer, I am reviewing and building out secure practices for their key vault infrastructure and working on we're debating between like a service principal secret and a managed identity for one of their critical applications. So good times.
Yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. I did some traveling personally with my run club. Went to Baltimore, ran the Baltimore Running Fest 5K. I tried to sign up same day for the half marathon. My legs felt good after the 5K, and then there was enough time between the 5K and the half marathon. You had like an hour to rest, a little bit more. I'm like, I'm gonna run the half marathon. But the bid was like $200. I'm like, it's day of. Come on, you're not gonna sell it. Give me a discount. I would have paid $100 for it. I can't pay $200 for it. But had a good race. Not my best race. I ended up running by mistakenly in my coach's shoes. So we're all at the start line. You know how you prep. I wear a 10 US size. My coach wears 11 and a half. I couldn't fast. God, these shoes feel so big. So we finally got there. We're too far away. I was like, hey, I got to do it now, right? And he was running. The marathon had already started. Yeah, the marathon started because distance is setting him off, right? So he's running in a size 10 in my shoe. And doing that. So Rod's here saying that the stream is jumping. I have no idea why it's jumping. Rod, he's visiting us from afar.
Yeah, it's on Rod. It's Rod's problem. Yeah, it's not our problem.
Whenever he's not here, all of a sudden things don't work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, come on, Rod. We know how to use the internet, Rod.
Yeah. Rod.
Yeah.
Well, other than that, man, that's it. I didn't do any work this weekend that I didn't have to do. I'm working on a huge RFP for a huge customer. And, they're talking about starting off with 11 terabytes of ingestion a day, then ramp up. So we're trying to figure those numbers, and I need to go back and revisit the architecture because they are not sort of optimizing their ingest to what they are trying to achieve with it. So I'm dealing with that. And I can feel our guest pain because they're in Europe. And when they have their meeting, I will be in the meeting. So they have it. I said, I can't make a 9:00 meeting, gentlemen. That'll be 3:00 a.m. my time. Even though I get up at that time, but that'd be fine. So that's it. Ray, what about you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've been recuperating. I got my final done for my tax service management course, and I got 100%. So I got very good. I'm very proud of that. Now I'm starting my other course. So, on my way, making progress towards completing that master's. Uh, let's see, for actual work. So putting together the webinar for Defender Experts, public facing, very exciting. And then for our customers, working on the collaboration framework with our partners, because Defender Experts loves our partners, and we do really well with our partners. So making sure that our customers are aware of that model, and then obviously connecting with partners in that respect. So lots of exciting stuff. But again, it's not affectation. It's the gift from my child, the garden of kindness and germs that is kindergarten. So here we are.
Awesome.
And shout out to my friend who's getting an MRI today. So all the folks that have had brain stuff and all that jazz, just good vibes, positive energy to my friend there.
Yeah, well, it sounds like we had activities, but overall everybody sort of relaxed. I know Rod was traveling. He's down there doing his thing. He's speaking with Martin at the MMA in Florida. Don't remember if it was Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, or which one. So shout out to Rod. He's probably trolling us on the back channel. I do have one thing before we get our guest on. So I was trying to catch up on some posts and some things. And a good article I read about, and it also brings to your attention that while it's being looked at to be remedied, that, threat actors can get access to the same tools, right? They have labs, they're testing stuff, they're doing it. And one of the things why it's a great tool to use, it's also a great one to abuse. And so what I want to do is talk about, let me share my screen really quick. So if I go here, make sure I got the right one. So I go present, go share screen. Here, too many steps to do it. Window, that one right there. We'll share. So what I want to talk about, that's funky, is
whoa.
Very Inception. Yes.
Yeah, it looks normal now, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about hunting with Microsoft Graph activity logs, right? We know that grabbing the Microsoft Graph API to look at activity is one of the things you can use to threat hunt and troubleshoot. But one thing you need to look at it also is setting it up to see if that log is being abused. Like if something else is pulling those logs and maybe forwarding the results of the logs to something else, or, are the logs being manipulated in such a manner to, hide the nefarious activity by threat hunters. So you may not the logs, grabbing the Microsoft Graph API, but also looking through that to see the activity that's being happening in your organization by the API. So this one was written in September. I actually went in and set this up in the lab. Pretty straightforward. And then I actually noticed a few things in my environment that looked suspicious. It really wasn't. It was some things I had set up and forgotten about, some folders, a couple other things. I had some email folders that definitely looked like they could have been nefarious activity. Someone forwards a mail and drops it in maybe like the RSS folder. So, the first thing as a responder, you go look in, the recycle bin, or you go look in the release folder. And if you see gaps in between that or a totally empty folder, which is unusual, that may be an indication of compromise. But I'm not setting it up. I had never set up the Microsoft Graph activity log. So it's pretty straightforward, some really cool stuff to do it. I already had the storage account. The log analytics workspace set up for it. And then one thing I also like to do, if you can have multiple workspaces and sync them, if you're a large enough organization, it may make sense to have a diagnostics log analytics workspace where you can put these very specific like activity logs in outside of your activity logs for your analytics and your detection. It's some case by case. I saw a couple of guys write it on LinkedIn, and I thought it was cool to do. So it was easy. Took 10 minutes just to read through it, make sure the cost was okay. And the other thing you can do with this is someone's using Copilot or something else. In certain instances, you can detect activity if they're working with managed identities or doing API calls on behalf of applications. So for those I'll put the link on copy. It's not going to be super neat inside the chat here, but definitely it'll go into the show notes. So I thought it was a good exercise to do. I'll go ahead and stop sharing so we don't get the inception type of scenario. So stop sharing.
Cool, man.
With that, Rod, what'd you do this weekend? Well, Edward, I did nothing. I was a lazy bum. That's typical, Rod. So we'll go ahead and go from there.
Yeah. Rod. Hey, Flexing Tony in chat said, FYI, can take about 4+ days for the logs to start flowing. Is that what you?
Oh, that's good.
Edward?
I did not know that. Yeah, I set it up, make sure I had no errors, and I sort of walked away. But what I did was I wanted to get some KKL queries to sort of look against it, and I also wanted to see the tables, how they manifest it. So I want to go take a look at that. That's a big project. I got to get this RFP done Friday. It's still a lot of moving parts, right? So we'll get that done. All right. Well, we have a returning guest, but with new flavor. So without that, I'm going to go ahead and add him to the stage. Fred! What's up, bro?
What's up, everyone? How we doing? Brody,
All right,
Edward,
man.
Ray, pleasure to be here again. Thank you for the invite.
Good to see you, bud.
Yeah. Hey, so we got one of the top security type guys, calling from across the pond and graciously decided to come back on the show at my request because he changed, not changed professions, changed where he's applying his skills. So, Craig, how about you tell everybody who you are, what you do, a big time MVP type of guy. Shout out to Frank. One day we're going to get you there. All right, Craig. So introduce yourself to everybody on the show, sir.
Sure, thank you. So my name is Craig Fretwell. I'm a 3-time Microsoft Security MVP. I've been in cybersecurity for around 16 years now. I mean, I look and age pretty well, even though, security really takes the years off you. What are you laughing for, Brody?
I'm 3-time security MVP, and I look and age well. Not a big deal. Just like that's how I do my intros.
Brody, this is something to aspire to,
man.
really. Yeah.
I love it. I think we need to boast more in our introductions. Not like I've been here 3 years. Like I look great and I kick ass. Not a big deal. Nice to meet you.
Having that positivity and that mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Abundance
Right.
mindset, Craig.
Exactly.
Love it.
So yeah, I currently work at Rackspace. I'm the interim global head of cybersecurity operations. If you don't know Rackspace, I'm sure you would have heard of Rackspace. So they started in 1998 with really an idea around, don't just give businesses like service space, but like help them manage it. And they built their reputation on what's called fanatical support. It's just going above and beyond, customer service, really setting themselves apart as a hosting provider. We're not just offering basic services, but doing everything else. So yeah, I'm currently at Rackspace.
So you said interim global security guru, 3-time MVP type of dude, right? So have you given over to the dark side now? You managerial, or are you still hands on the keyboard?
So, I mean, I'm always a techie at heart. Once you're a techie, you're always a techie. Really, you never really come back from that phase. I mean, I started at the beginning of the year in Rackspace, and I was originally hired as a senior pre-sales solution architect. Focus on like selling and solutioning security services. And then after about 2 months, I sold my first huge MXDR deal. And then an opportunity came up that really aligned with my skill set from previous jobs. So I kind of transitioned into this role as an interim. And I just really unlocked my creativity. I'm currently leading multiple, innovation initiatives. We're doing a lot of cool R&D across several areas in the SOC. And, my focus is on aligning those strategies with broader goals of the company, but, driving that innovation, that support transformation, and that growth within security operations at Rackspace within our Rackspace Cyber Defense Center. And it's been awesome. It's been a lot of work. It's been very tiring. But I'm very fortunate to work with some incredibly talented people who make the job more rewarding. Everybody at Rackspace and in the security team, not just the SOC, but everybody's so forward thinking. Everybody's really open to learning, throwing crazy ideas out there and then putting that into, reality and showing that positivity, going the extra mile, and that's what you need to help achieve success. And Rackspace has a proven track record of that. When you have the right people a positive mindset and the right technology, everything, comes together like a well-oiled machine. I'm starting to sound like one of those motivational posters, like success is a journey, not a destination.
Hang in there, right?
Yeah. Hang in there. Yeah, you got
You
it.
transitioned 2 months after joining?
Yeah, so I've always liked pre-sales, always like selling. I like to talk about security and, help customers on their, journey to get somewhere from where they are to somewhere really good. But because of my previous history in security operations, this opportunity became something that I really wanted to get into. So yeah, I'm currently doing this role, which is really cool.
Now I remember Rackspace from back in the day. I've been in some of the Rackspace data centers, right? When you helping out a customer consultant, you got to get the ID to clearance to come in, on a temporary. So they've been vulnerable, data center infrastructure and hosting and all those other things. I'll admit, until such time that I had reached out to you, once I saw that you had changed roles to get you to come on, that I did not know that they had a competitive, MDR/XDR solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like this, what you guys primarily do is the MDR stuff. You're not looking into analytics when it comes to log ingestion, sort around SIM stuff. Or do you guys do a managed SIM offering also? And forgive me for not looking on there, but when I looked it up, they do have all.
How dare you not do research? How dare you not do research? No. So in 2010, the Rackspace teamed up with NASA to create OpenStack. NASA had massive data needs, and Rackspace was, looking to push, beyond traditional cloud hosting. So they built OpenStack together, like NASA and Rackspace. Like that's freaking huge. And as the company moved on and expanded, so did Rackspace. So, they didn't just start, hosting cloud server and support, they started expanding their portfolio of services to data apps, Snowflake, data analytics, security, all the clouds, AWS, partnerships in all of these special areas. And now they have this fully managed 24/7 SOC offering, which is backed by a technology called Microsoft Sentinel. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
No.
I think it's one of the cloud leading native SIEMs right out of the minute, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But Rackspace is very vendor agnostic, so it allows us to cater to all types of customers, meeting their specific needs when selecting the right technology for their business. And this, flexibility ensures that we're not just restricted by vendor limitations when we look at, different solutions for the customer. So we have a managed EDR offering that's split into two different technology focuses, one being CrowdStrike and the other being Defender for Endpoint. And the same for our vulnerability management detection and response service. We cover Qualys and Defender. So this ensures that we cover all the bases, giving the customer the flexibility to choose, the right solution that's fit for their environment. And, some customers don't like putting all their eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Okay. So you threw out the Sentinel thing. I get it. It's in there. So you guys do that full service around security and that. But within that offering that you have, is it still hosting customers in your data center only, or are you able to extend your management plane across someone who may be in the cloud in addition to their stuff? Because I know that the EDR stuff around Defender for Endpoint on the workstations you got the SIM piece that you have in there. Are you guys like doing an overlay for Defender for Cloud also?
So yeah, we have those opportunities out there, but the main focus is it doesn't matter if you're in a private cloud or a public cloud. The MXDR offering still caters to every need. So we have the capability to really transform any business and get them into our service.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like Rackspace is one of those companies that watch the tech, watch the wave, but I could tell that you guys are still very much grounded into the things. You get in it, you get good, you stay, but you never mention AI. So that's
Give me a chance. Give me a chance.
Okay.
So before he goes there.
Go then.
Yeah, the eggs in one basket argument, I think, is a poor argument. I'd say integration vertically has much more benefits than segregated solutions that you need to then integrate after the fact. But I'm blended by Microsoft's marketing gurus, right?
Hey,
So,
I'm an MVP. I'm always going to choose Microsoft over anything else. But when you work for a company that is vendor agnostic, I cannot
of course.
go down that.
Yeah, and it also touches on the point where you want to meet the customers where they're at. And you want to help them shepherd them along that journey, and it's going to look different across different customer situations. So I totally understand that and respect that. And Craig, may I ask, do you also like manage the implementation, or does the customer need to come to you like ready to go, even if it's a diversified environment?
So they just need an Azure subscription, and everything else is deployed automatically. So we have a content pack, syslog servers if required, and all the data connections. So we have the very much pick here, off the shelf what you need. So there'll be a discovery call with the customer. Okay, do you have AWS? Yes. Would you like these logs into Azure? Yes, no, etc. And then it's all automated. So that form goes straight and feeds back into a loop, and it deploys every single asset what they need, as well as the analytic rules, the hunting queries, and the workbooks as well.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you guys have a pretty comprehensive offering to be able to get customers on board. And it sounds like I'll assume you can blend it where customers still want to be a little bit of hands-on in how they go about their day-to-day, and you guys handle other aspects. I'm going to also, not to beat a dead horse, be exactly with Brody, if nothing more, then how about the industry come up with another catchphrase for that particular, saying eggs in one basket, because you're seeing a lot of competitors to Microsoft can say what they want to say, but they're emulating. They're emulating the platform, which is XDR 365 by acquisition. Palo Alto's doing it. They're buying it so they can build it. You think Cisco's not trying? They bought Splunk. You see all these other ones. So everybody wants a comprehensive platform because they want that integration, and everybody's going for that unicorn, which is the single pane of glass. And even to this day, with Microsoft's unified portal, there's no single pane of glass. There are still pivot points where you're going to have to pivot out to do it. And the phrase "all the eggs in one basket." How about we come up with something like, "Let's not put all your hens in one house." Maybe that's when we go with for a while. Let's not put all your hens in one house. Spread those hens out. There you go. I don't know.
We have to
silo all the hens.
This like farm analogy here, and we're like, let's transition from eggs to the hens. We're gonna go upstream. Like, how about let's revamp this all together. I'll noodle on it.
Don't put all your houses in one farm.
But then all your houses are close, and services can be delivered to your houses in an efficient manner.
Yeah, and delivered by chickens. So you go like that. I'm off the rail today. No adult supervision here. Rod's gone. We're just gonna go at it. With that being said, you said wait on it. I'm waiting. Everybody's been on the artificial intelligence, wagon. So let me hear if Rackspace has a pitch for how they are innovating and pivoting and doing what's best for the world with AI. Are you guys in that same discussion with every other company? And when I say every other company, it's not in a negative way. That is because everybody knows that if you don't say something, they're going to assume that you're not doing it. And they'll assume that you're not innovative if you don't put something on your website or your professional presence. What is Rackspace answer to this thing around artificial intelligence?
So we launched Foundry AI by Rackspace, which is FAIR as the acronym. And we have a huge AI division that's really pushing the boundaries of innovation. And we're using AI in a lot of powerful and creative ways. We're doing a lot of stuff within the SOC. Not sure how much I can talk about, but I can be happy to talk about you offline and show you some bits. But I know that when when OpenAI burst onto the scene, right, it reminded me of that iconic Windows 95 launch, when Bill Gates is on stage rocking those baggy trousers and that cheesy dance move. That was like groundbreaking technology at the time. And when, OpenAI and this large language model all came online, it reminded me of that. It really got everything going in motion, and people, everybody, I know all my friends are using AI and they know nothing about IT. You know, they're using ChatGPT and Copilot, you know, even just to summarize things. And it is really transforming the landscape of every business. It's not just a tool anymore. It's becoming like an integral part of how companies operate and compete. I'm not sure what trends you're seeing at Microsoft within the AI space. I imagine you're seeing a lot of different utilizations with AI.
Yeah, at the organization, yes. And then what I look for is not where, where the Kool-Aid is made. I'm like, I want to know how the Kool-Aid is being used, right? Are people mixing different flavors to get different results and stuff like that? So often that comes from the customers and our partners who are consuming the technology, right? And then trying to do it, because Microsoft has been very much a partner centric, or if not very partner codependent, because these are where all the offerings that are coming, right? Microsoft's not a real big delivery company. I mean, you could say they're a huge delivery company. The size makes them large, but that's not their primary focus, right? IST is not their primary focus, or MCS, or whatever we call them things. But I want to see what the partners are doing by taking that technology and putting their IP upon it, or creating an IP. So I am seeing some interesting things. I sort of really got ingrained with all the co-pilots the last week or so, and I absolutely was amazed in some of the stuff that you can do if you really embrace it and look at it beyond a browser. I'm sorry, a search engine, because you fall into the search engine realm because you're interacting with it in a browser fashion. I believe that if Microsoft had their AI in a non-browser, it was an application that you install, even though it is sort of segmented. Once you get inside of it, you can see it. I learned something very interesting about Bing Copilot. If you ever want to try to export or pull all of your past prompts out of it and try to put it into any HTML form, watch what happens. It won't allow you to do it. At least I haven't figured it out. So I hit F12 inside the browser, and I was trying to say, okay, why is it obfuscating all this stuff and redacting all these things? I got to figure that out, which is cool. I like, why is my prompt history so important? But then again, I would think, yeah, as a hacker, I would like to know what prompts you're running, what you run and what you've done, right? And the way that you can sort of flip my brain like a coder. So I wrote in variables to say, if you see this word, I mean this word. Or if you see these set of words in this context, this is what I mean. So I don't always have to do it. So big shout out to Tony Sims. Him and I beat it up last week. We're working on a little AI project, Copilot project now. And it was pretty good to see. So yeah, the short answer is, man, people are finding ingenious ways to do it. And that's not just Copilot. That's Perplexity, that's ChatGPT, and a lot of these other models, right? Being able to do it. But,
do you think there's still a risk of like not having users have too much access and not enough security around data management? So like this is a scenario that I had, and I did a talk on this at the start of the year. So basically, if a user account becomes compromised and they have Copilot, and say they're a manager, and the adversary, goes through and grabs all this information about people's salaries and whatever, because they will have access to this. And then, they send an email saying, okay, send this email in the same tone to everybody, the whole company, include like a phishing link in it. So they're immediately going to think, okay, this account is coming from a manager. There's going to be no suspicion here if they disguise it in the correct way. But then they click that phishing link, and obviously credential theft can happen in the background. Is there a way for Microsoft, because I can't see how to do this, detect on when there is a stamp of malicious activity that they're trying to do a jailbreak, or user is doing something outside the ordinary? Because if that account gets compromised, how do you know that A, the account's been compromised, and B, that they've compromised Copilot as well?
I would give you an answer that's only for it, right? Somebody else is probably gonna have a different answer and everything. So let me break this in two parts. And then there's a cool solution or application that's SaaS based that I saw that you stick in front of Microsoft Defender for Office and you put on the inside too. It looks at that type of behavior, right?
Okay.
This person's never sent an email at this time of night or to these people before. All of a sudden, it's the person that's working, administratively, interacting with C-suite, or watch the C-suite talking to the shipping department, things along that line, right? So there are third-party solutions outside of Microsoft. Now you're saying, is there a way to do it? And that's hypothetical. Go through this, and maybe Brody. Brody's more of a compliance and data type person than I am, and Ray is a incident responder and hunter by virtue of working inside Defender Experts. When you say, is there a risk? There's always risk. Okay, I had a metaphor, but it could be a little bit serious. So let's put it this way: if you have children in your house and you have medications that could be harmful if taken in mass, do you eliminate the risk by not taking the medication, or do you mitigate the risk by making sure that it is out of touch and absolutely, for lack of a better word, put it within guardrails? Guardrails being in your medicine cabinet, being locked up, and if you want to go so far, the bottle says 8, you come in here and it's 6. Where did the other one go? So an IT perspective is you need controls. Controls, risk to me is not knowing what you don't know. If you don't have adequate logging, if you don't have a way to protect its confidentiality and integrity of those logs, the Purview product and the Insider Risk looks for that type of behavior. Why are you doing these type of behaviors, right?
Yeah.
You're also going to see that Copilot may become a tool that you justify in your role. Right now, most other people are turning it on flat up 365 Copilot in their environment, right? And you see it when you open up your modern apps. It'll say Copilot. You have to be able to you have to go back and see what they are doing. Now, if you understand what they're doing, you can build, analytics, normal trending, lines, and things that sort of mark what normal behavior is versus what is that normal behavior is. But you can never eliminate risk. There is no 100% way to do it. Now, will someone get ingenious about it and use it? I think the answer to it, you have to use AI to catch the abuse of AI, right? And, I say it on the show a lot of times. Brody's heard me say it. Andrew said me say it. Everybody said it. You need something that says, if it walks like a duck, swims like a duck, quacks like a duck, fraps like a duck, it's probably not a duck. Because why is this duck going out of this way to prove this is a duck? Right? Go ahead, Ray. I'm sorry.
No, I said it was a hen.
The hen. Yeah, it was a hen. The hen did it. Why is this hen acting like a duck? Right? And so that was a good question. And I would say to all of our listeners, chime in. Maybe that will be one of our show discussions. How do you give people power to innovate? Satya said it. We want to innovate and give everybody a computer in the world. Now we want to give everybody Copilot in the world. Well, if you can give everybody a baseball bat in the world. Bats don't kill people. People with bats kill people, right? There you go. So Brody is contemplating that. Brody, how would you do it? Your hairline's receding and your brain is smoking. You're thinking about this.
Jeez.
I'm trying to not lose track of the original question with your ongoing answer. Okay. So let's just. Craig asked, paraphrasing, how can we detect when a malicious actor has taken control of an identity or is manipulating Copilot itself outside of the regular bounds of its behavior? Is that correct, Craig?
That's right. Bang on.
Okay, perfect. So personally, and I want to look this up, I don't know of a Purview, air quotes, solution that shows insider risk when interacting with the built-in AI within Microsoft system. But I do know that with insider risk, if you are working on documents, accessing files, doing things to your computer that are out of the security boundary, outside of the norm, it and conditional access can flag your account for potential risky behavior outside of the bounds of normal. But whether or not there's a capability where it can detect, like, he's chatting differently than he normally chats with the Copilot, I'm not sure. Right?
What
But-
metrics would that be aligned to against? Because that might
Right.
throw up a bunch of false positives.
Right. Maybe he's drunk. Right. Maybe he's just typing weird because he's drunk. I don't
Well,
know.
then you need to
But
intervene on the behavioral level of like, is everything okay? Are
Yeah.
you having
Yeah.
a tough time? Home life all right?
Yeah. So there's like communications compliance capabilities where if all of a sudden I'm messaging Ray, or Edward, probably Edward, a bunch of swear words, all of a sudden, like I could be, a risky individual for other reasons, right? So I think it comes down to more like, are you leveraging the AI to access things you normally don't access or search different things? There are capabilities. I just don't know if it's direct in line with the chat, right? That's the key thing. And then I think the heart of your question, before you get into that question, Craig, was are these solutions too permissive? And I think that comes down to how tightly controlled are you managing sensitive information and boundaries within your organization prior to letting it loose and letting your users have access to it. I think that's really the bigger discussion is like everybody wants to turn it on because it's the new hotness and it's making the stock price go up. Thanks everybody. But have not taken the step back to like actually say, hey, are we actually classifying important data, effectively and restricting it from the broad population? Or are we actually limiting our users from accessing these areas that they shouldn't have accessed in the first place, regardless if there's an AI or not in the system? And I think that's the important challenge is like, yeah, we want to play with the new toy. We want the new thing. We want to innovate, but we need to ensure that we're building security along with it. If we're not going to prepare for it originally, we need to like get on it and do it now. If you don't have a robust security program in place. I'm done.
Yeah, very rarely is a problem solved with a tool alone. More often than not, it's process. And in that process, you have to have observation and accountability. Somebody has to look at it. You have all the logging in the world. Nobody's looking at it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it also helps have a good data management strategy in place as well.
Exactly.
Refresh that data cycle. Look at how many users are accessing what. Do they still need that access? Having all that, I think all these components are really going to help, mitigate that risk.
But I think that you answered your own question when you said, how do you prevent somebody from doing this and Brody gave the right answer, protect your identity. I'm not protecting you. I'm not protecting you from the use of AI. I'm protecting your access to it. And your access is given by virtue of having secure identity. Protect the identity very much so. Right.
And that's why I asked, because what we're seeing right now is a huge trend of new phishing attacks. They're becoming more sophisticated and they're using, they're going beyond the typical method of like using advanced QR code phishing and stuff like that. And it's very clever and I do like it. But at the same time, sometimes it's nearly tripped me up, and it is very smart how they do these things. I know recently Microsoft Defender for Office, they introduced a new feature for prevention of and blocking QR code attacks as well. But it's so big that like as soon as they get a foothold, these adversaries, they're using the same tools as well. Mimikatz, they're using that. They're leveraging AnyDesk, and these are the type of things that as soon as processes like this are launched, even just a small detection rule is capable of detecting what's going on in that environment. And outside of that, I've personally been focused for a social engineering attack when I received a call from someone who knew my mobile phone provider, which was a specific network, even though I've only had that number for 6 months. And they called and they said, can you confirm your full name, address, and date of birth? And then I questioned them and they sent me an OTP on my phone. And they said, read this OTP back to me. And I said, wait, hang on a second. So I looked at the text and I was like, it came through on the same network's text message. So I was like, something is a bit shady with this. So I made up a story to the person on the phone. I said, I work in analytics for this company. And I said, you should never really ask for the OTP unless you call the network. And they hung up. They completely hung up. And then shortly after that, I received a fake email from that network with a phishing attempt. And it was a Google Doc form for a free upgrade. So I called the network and I said, listen, there's phishing targets are happening in your environment. you're going to do something about it. And they're like, yeah, we'll, escalate it to our security team. And then they called me back like a week later. And I was like, is this a phishing attempt again? Like, I'm not sure I can trust you guys.
I always wonder, and you're skilled. That attack would not have worked to anybody who's currently in this call right now. It's ingrained to us to go, if you didn't ask for it, why are you offering it? Right. And there are specific times that you do these attacks, like Prime Day is coming up, right? And then the holiday benefits sign up is getting ready to occur here in about 2 weeks, which is it's an employee holiday of a sort. Everybody has to sign up for new benefits. It's your job in November, almost ubiquitously across the United States, right? The problem with it is I always worry is that who is protecting the average consumer right there? Who's getting their Gmail attack? While there is some value to data, I don't want your Gmail or Yahoo or whomever else. That's civilian unless you happen to have individual wealth that I can clean out your account. I want that corporate account because that's who's going to pay the ransom. And corporate entities need to make sure that they protect individuals from themselves as well as protect their line of business. You just have to, right? So that goes back to doing the process and the basics. You can buy all the tools in the world and you be absolutely just flabbergasted. If I had the hair, pull it out. People buy these $1 million worth of tool sets, and
all
they
it
don't
takes is one
afford it.
person to click a link.
And in my days of red teaming, you say don't put all your eggs in one basket, hens in one house, houses on one farm, but you'll see it all the time. Hackers hack between the lack of integration. You got all these best of breed products, but they're not talking to each other. So I'm going to hack it like that. I'm going to get in between where you're not talking, where the noise is, right? And that's why you're starting to see everybody go to this platform. Everybody wants to be a platform. CrowdStrike touts their platform. You need to be on Falcon. You need to be on Overwatch, right? And it's a solid platform. But when you start doing certain things, you open up. I want to get back to the last thing I know you want to talk about on this call before we get out of here. I was on speaking of some event, and I told everybody, I said, name the 3 big clouds. Everybody named them all. And I said, would you agree with me that those workloads are unbreakable? You cannot break into Azure. You cannot break into GCP. And you cannot break into AWS. I started getting booed off the stage, and I said, hold up. You cannot until you start putting data into them. When you start putting workloads in them, then you introduce the vulnerabilities, right? Process people, get your process, pay your people, give them the ability to have good observation, actionable intelligence, and protect your identity. The endpoint's always going to be a sacrificial lamb. Endpoint's gone. Don't even troubleshoot it. Grab the hard drive for forensics, format it, and then start over. Don't waste any time on it. Right? It's already, you can't trust it anymore. But it sounds like Rackspace is doing their AI thing. Everybody's touching into it. I'm waiting for that breakout. Nobody's had a breakout yet. Nobody's had that thing. Because truly, Brody, I'll ask you first. Has AI solved anything for you yet? Not made it easier. Solve something. Solve the problem that was out there.
It's solved my ongoing battle with the amount of free time that I have in any given day to get my work done.
So
it's assisted in it.
It is solved the ability of productivity and availability. Okay.
And nothing's been solved for me. I love working with AI to generate solutions or bounce ideas off of, or think of things that I haven't thought of, and reduce my research time and my requirement to create documentation for customers, which is significant. And it's reduced that significantly. And you still have to double check everything, of course. So that's a big help. There's a lot of things I would like to leverage AI, but to deal with my firestorm of an inbox more. I already employ zero inbox tactics, but I feel like there's a way I could leverage it more to just auto sort for me, or to give me, things of that nature. I would welcome that, but then I'm afraid of missing something because I'm a control freak and I want to read everything. And from a security standpoint, I would say it may assist with the skill requirement to effectively hunt or deal with post-incident activity from a security spectrum with Copilot for Security, but it has not solved security breaches, of course, right? But lowered the barrier of entry, which we've talked about to a large extent. So, but like, does anything really solve something? You know, were you ever really solving world hunger, or
What are we?
really
What are we?
solving?
How are we qualifying solve? What do we mean by that?
Well, we don't. We're asking that when something is a matter of perspective, right? So I'll ask you the same question, right? And whatever AI tool that you choose, has it really come in and solved an underlining thing that I don't? Everything seems to be augmentative, reduce, more productivity, more efficient. And I'll give you my answer in a second. But Ray, has it solved anything?
Okay, but I mean, define solve. What is like? It's no longer a problem in any aspect. It's no longer. I no longer have to think about it. It's set it and forget it, and voila. Is that what we mean by solve?
It was something that it's highly problematic, inefficient, caused you to use more time than the resulting benefit was. So solve is very subjective. It's not an objective answer, but I like to say solve because I want to try to sit here and drive a finite answer to something that's very loosely defined. So Brody's answer right on point. He went down these things, but there wasn't a solve because, and I'll tell you where I'm going with this question. So is there a solve, Ray, or is it almost everything Brody said? It made you better in certain aspects.
It's solving the anxiety in some ways around like upskilling for me, bolstering technical chops. Absolutely. And I see that even in my day-to-day engagement with customers who are leveraging our managed service and Copilot for Security. I've seen that. And then personally, outside of Copilot for Security, but if we look at the spectrum or the continuum of Copilot offerings, I have a deep well of empathy, but when I am tailoring communications, I have a very specific default mode, and it is very direct and rowdy and in your face. And I can like very much put that in Copilot in Ray speak. And then I say, make that nicer person. make it and it's like, and then it's the most very empathetic, very sentimental, very like human friend. I'm like, that's fantastic, thank you. And then I learned, so it's upskilling me in a very like, it's updating my human algorithm and helping me human better and more effectively.
So it's made you better, but haven't solved.
It's anxiety of like, am I doing this right? Because internally there's an instinct in me that says, oh, it's missing the mark, or, you know, like if I put it together, I'm like, is this too much? Is this too sharp? Is this too full Ray? And when Copilot, when I use it to customize or personalize communications, there's an instinct. I'm like, oh, it's addressing the points and the criteria. It's satisfying the criteria, and now it's solving my anxiety about whether or not I'm an effective communicator. So I would say that's solved.
We have a work professional scenario. We also have personal, and then work, and then Craig, yours really quick, and I'll give you mine.
I mean, AI's helped me to code Python better. It's not really solved it for me, but I knew basics of Python, and now it does comments and everything. It's powerful. But if you look at AI and what Tesla's doing, could we just talk about that real quick?
I'll give you my answer really quick.
Yes.
Go on,
it has solved something for me. It has solved the biggest thing I've had throughout my career in personal. How to get started, whether it's writing paper, whatever else. My biggest thing is how I find myself like the hardest thing of anything is how to get started. I find myself going to whatever Copilot of choice that I use, whatever AI application of choice, and it helps me get started. I can say that it solved the problems of my inability to get going, because I use it now to help come up with a train of thought that then allows me to sort of executing, because I second guess myself to death all the time. And when the more experience you get, the more you second guess yourself. People think that when you're experienced, you're like, oh man, this is just like memory muscle. It's like Ray said, you're like, well, what about that? Oh God, I remember that project I did. Oh, that may not be the right answer. But when I can just type in without having to sound smart, without having to prove experience, without to have judgment of your peers. Why are you asking that question? How long you been doing this? I can go into it, and now I can get started. And to me, I believe it has solved the ability for me to get started in any task that I have. And that in itself, I'll give it to it, because that's it. It's solved how to get started for me. That sounds like, well, yeah, that's not really anything. It's helping you get started. I said, no, it solved the problem, because I could not at all, and things never got done. My desk has never been this free of sticky notes in my life. There's not a yellow sticky note anywhere. So that's it. It solved it for me. So
Wicked.
but hey, you want to talk about AI in a different aspect, Craig? If you want these technology geeks, tell me one thing that you like about it that not necessarily in a job. You want to give some time to it.
I mean, the Tesla thing that Elon did was sick. Like these self-driving cars, right? Insane. Imagine you have one of these cars, you could just go out, get smashed, and then the car just comes and picks you up, right? But during that time that you're at the bar, it's also driving around other people, earning you money. That's crazy. It's not sat there idly, But if you, I've really thought about this. Like, if you embed like the right security protocols, so it notices that you've had a couple of drinks, it could, lock the front two doors when it's in autopilot mode, and has a way that, no one could override the manual system to like prevent like drunk driving. So the car would just operate in a full self-driving mode, ensure that, you're safely transported home, amazing, right? And then the robots, I think if they nail this, right, this could be severely cool. So I know that they did the launch with VR, but imagine if they did the robots and they were fully, they had the freedom to move around, but they were controlled by someone in, I don't know, another country, right? They could handle everyday tasks for you, almost like it's the same as like having a maid in your house, but the robots, you could power them up and they could, make you breakfast in the morning. They have an alert. Oh, Craig's awake. Go make him breakfast. Breakfast protocol has been activated. And the robots goes off. It makes you scrambled egg, but it's someone else controlling it through VR, right? And then, you could have it clean your house. And then for privacy, you could implement features like facial recognition blurring, or, the robot won't use real names. It will call you sir, ma'am, or child, and everything's encrypted, photos and personal, items and family pictures. These all could be blurred. So only the robot or the person controlling it only sees to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
It's creating that convenience without sacrificing, security or privacy.
That thought around policing
Good thoughts.
Policing inadvisable behavior has been around for. When you allow people to self-police, a lot of times, and though I'm a huge fan of individual freedoms, a lot of great gains have happened because you need to have your freedom spirit to do things, as long as they don't impose upon others, right? But I thought about that. I knew you were going to say that. The car can sense when you had your BAC is too high, so it won't crank, right? Or do something like that. Or it says, I can sense that you've had too many drinks. Do you want to override this? You can put in controls like, you rode into this, call wife first before authorizing start up and drive home. Because the laws will say you may not be driving, but you're behind the wheel, or you're in the car and you're intoxicated, so you no longer have the ability to take control in the event something goes on. That in itself, that's very subjective, and you can put that to argument, right? Thing would always come back to, do you trust the people that hold the data? Because if I know that you're in the car in self-driving mode and you like to get smashed, as you say, across the pond, you are insurance risk. So now insurance companies are using that data against you, and now your premium is 3 times as much, right?
But if it locks the front the front doors of the car, and it has like a glass, almost like a limousine style, mm-hmm. right? It can be built like that, so it can't allow you to unlock the front. And if it has a tampering thing, it calls the police. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally believe that if you can sit here and save people from themselves, aka holiday parties that are getting ready to come up, company holiday parties at the company, you definitely need that, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of potential out there, and I'll stay to it. AI is not AI until it can lie to you on purpose. When they can lie to you on purpose, then you have artificial intelligence. Not give you hallucination, not give you a bad answer, but know the right answer and purposely give it to it so it benefits. Now we got a problem.
When they start gaslighting humans, that's when we know they're a human. Is that what we're saying?
Yep. When they start gaslighting you and trolling you.
That's the Turing test. That is the barometer. Okay.
But I think there's some super innovative stuff. When you talked about this and you said you were going to speak about it, I don't own a Tesla or anything. I looked it up. None of that stuff is code. This is behavior analytics built into the car that says it doesn't see a stop sign. When it comes to a stop sign, the Tesla doesn't stop because it sees the stop sign. It sees that humans are stopping for this, so that thing must indicate that I should stop. It's not in the code.
What if nobody's around?
Yeah, but it notices and believes that, hey, even when there is no one around, humans stop for this thing, so I should stop for it, right? So it looks at behavior patterns, because if you write in the code, write in stop sign, and what if that code has an exception? Or if you come into a place where some idiot has knocked the sign over, or the stop sign doesn't exist anymore. It understands yellow school buses. It knows not to pass the yellow school bus, right? Because they've seen other people slow down behind it. So I went behind, it was code. I'm like, everything's code, but it's not written into, you won't see stop sign, school bus, you'll see all these things in it. So the innovation is there. Now, will I trust it? I don't know about that yet. We'll see. Bro, you have a Tesla, don't you?
No, but I don't agree with that. Like, it's trained to look for stop signs. And then
I think while I was reading up this article, it knows what a stop sign is, but it can also look at all the conditions around the stop sign, because it knows that what if I painted a stop sign in the middle of the freeway? Right, from the ground. Would it slam to a stop at 55 miles an hour? But it knows that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
this.
it.
Never mind. Training the system on stop signs versus looking for, a hazard. Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, looking at that, right? And but this has been good. Craig, it's good to catch up, sir. And I learned a few more things about Rackspace. I see that you finally coming over to the dark side. Now you pre-sale now, as Brody said. Brody claims I'm a salesperson these days, and I can't spell security. I think I can, but we'll go. Anyway, this was a good time. We got a great amount of listeners. I think the 3 o'clock time zone allowed a lot of folks who were on the other side of the time zone to be able to join. We appreciate everybody joining. Any closing words, Craig, before we get you out of here? I know.
Yeah, who said the Spider-Man thing? So I got something cool to show you.
For the Halloween.
Dollar, baby. Look at this.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
They're paying people lots of money at Rackspace to buy their toys. You do that. All right. I actually watched Spider-Man No Way Home over the weekend. Pretty good.
It's really good.
Yeah, I did that. Well, everyone, thanks for coming on the show. We will be back next week, back at our 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time zone. And next week, we're going to have 2 shows. And you don't have to pay for the second one. I don't think you have to pay.
Buy one, get one.
Yeah, get one free and buy one. There you go, flip it around and come back. So we're going to have a special show in the middle of next week. You probably want to stay tuned. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts around what threat hunters are doing. Like, what are they doing hands-on keyboard, and get really technical into the weeds about what they're seeing out there in the wild versus what you're just reading. So we're going to take the abstract risk and threat, and we're going to put some meat behind it till our listeners what our experts are seeing in the world. So until next Monday, which is the 28th, I'm gonna pull my shameless rod, which is my birthday. Cash is always welcome. Yeah, always do that. You guys, our listeners, have a good rest of your day, and we'll give in another hour back to you. Have a good one.
Awesome.
Craig, good to see you, man. I'm back over there.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Do that thing. Yes. I do the brand. Do it and come out of here, man. Everybody should have it already.